And welcome into another edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3 The Fan. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a Friday, and that means our NHL and hockey insider from Shap Shots, his Substack, from EP Rinkside, from D Magazine, and from more, it's Sean Shapiro. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well today, Gavin. It's been a good week of hockey for me. I was at the saw a playoff style game last night between Detroit and the Islanders. Earlier in the week, I was out in Vegas for a game between Tampa and Vegas, of course. And so it's been kind of all over the place. So I'm happy to be here right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to start out with something that Spits and Suds listeners will be like, what? But you're only going to hear it on Spits and Suds. Today, it's the Frozen Four of women's hockey. And I bring that up, Sean, because I want to highlight when we talk about a Madonna statue ceremony, when we talk about the growth of hockey in DFW, and that's one of the reasons we started Spits and Suds, is two players from DFW will be participating today. Ohio State, top ranked in the nation, takes on Wisconsin. Ohio State, led by Hannah Bilka from Coppell, who we've had on Spits and Suds. And Colgate, Wisconsin tonight, and Allyson Simpson, who plays defense for Colgate. She's from Frisco, so she'll be featured. Furthermore, when you look at the hockey news, they did their PWHL, Professional Women's Hockey League draft rankings. They have Hannah Bilka at number 2 as far as draft prospects, and Allyson Simpson number 9. So 2 DFW hockey players in the top 10 for this upcoming PWHL, Professional Women's Hockey League draft. I know you went to the game in Detroit, Sean. I just wanted to highlight that because I think it's awesome. And when we talk about the growth game, we probably don't mention the women's game and how it's growing and the attendance that it's drawing for the PWHL, which is awesome. And it's great to see 2 DFW people featured.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it is I say this to someone who has a daughter who's starting to play hockey too. Like, to see women's hockey, there actually be more opportunities. There's all these things that, it's really true. If to have the actual example of something to look up to, and it's as much as I've taken my daughter to NHL games and she's enjoyed it and everything like that, I can tell you how much her face lit up when we went to the PWHL game in Detroit, and she loved it. And so it means a ton. So it's great to see. Obviously, we've had Hannah on this show before. It's going to be interesting to see where she goes in the draft, because that league is it's a great league right now. Can you imagine, Gavin, if there's only 6 NHL teams right now, how good the talent would be? Like, that's where women's hockey is right now. You've got the best players in the world on every single team. It is a good time for women's hockey, and it'd be nice to see be nice to see kind of a DFW showdown in the final, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, that would be amazing. So congratulations, ladies. And I just wanted to, a nice stick tap to you guys. We'll be watching you this weekend, and that's pretty awesome. All right. So wanted to ask you what you thought of the Madonna ceremonies. It was kind of funny because asked Craig Ludwig. I told Luds, who did not know that the ceremony got delayed. So he ended up in the hero next to the AAC pounding away. And he actually, thought it was, great because Mother Nature, I was thinking during the time, I'm like, kudos to Brad Alberts for, making the shift on the fly and delaying the festivities. But I really think it worked out better for Madonna because, seeing 17,000 people on their feet, that is just so emotional. And I don't think that would have been captured properly as far as thank you, Mike Madonna, like it was inside the arena.
Yeah, I think it was a happy accident the way it happened, right? Like, I think it turned out really well. I think from the way it was presented to the statue itself, like, I think it is I think it was really well done. And we've talked before on this show about how the organization needs to separate Madonna, the person at in employment, from his playing career. And I think this really was the right way to do it. The ceremony was great. I thought the arena kind of the way it went down with the arena packed and then still stuff going on outside at the same time. I thought it was really, this is the way you probably couldn't have drawn it up better. So it worked out well that it was rescheduled. And for me, just the legacy thing is so important. Now, like, um, statues are statues are history to me. Like, it's the type of thing where I don't think it, like, if you ever want a I hope it's still there, Gavin. Have you been to the Texas Hockey History Museum in Farmers Branch that's
No,
in the rink there?
no. Oh, yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they,
In Farmers
yeah,
Branch.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I have. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It
in
is
Farmers
still
Branch.
there.
Yeah,
Yes.
so like there is a museum for Texas hockey history.
Yes.
There is one. It's in Farmers Branch. If you're listening to the show and you haven't been there,
Yeah. Second
go
floor.
check it out. Second floor. It's got some really cool stuff to look through.
Yeah.
But statues to me are hockey history and museums in one spot that really capture the gravity of everything. And for me, just it's so deserving to have Madonna finally kind of immortalized that way. And I know that's the term they've been using. I also think the tiny details that they put in are so great, where there's so many little elements of it that if you bring a kid to that statue 10, 15 years from now, you can pull stories where you'll point to the jersey flowing, right? The jersey flowing on the statue, and you're like, I can tell you why that's happening. That's what he was like when he was playing. It's him wearing the classic the star jersey that when they won the cup. And I also really like, Gavin. I really like that they didn't have it. It wasn't him lifting the Stanley Cup, because originally I thought, oh, it'd be kind of fitting to do him
I
lifting
thought
the
so
Stanley
too.
Cup,
Yep.
but I the more I've thought about it, I like that they didn't have him hoisting the Stanley Cup, because when you put statues, that's history. And that's something that happens once in a lifetime. If you have him hoist the Stanley Cup, you're acting like that's a once in a lifetime thing. You don't want that to be a once in a lifetime thing. You don't want that to be a thing. Madonna's impact is more than just that. And I thought it was just, there's so many little details that they just nailed it with this.
Yeah. No, they did a great job. Speaking of nailing it, Sean, I am justified today. I'm throwing this out at David Castillo. Earlier this week on The Fan, we had Andre Stalling, senior writer for NBA Analytics for ESPN. Listen to what he says. And should I do my victory lap, Sean, after you hear this cut?
Okay.
For individual players, I really like the plus minus, or what I call like the impact stats, because for the MVP, to me, that's the stat that most correlates to the MVP. How does your team scoring margin change when a player is on the court versus when they're off the court? That's kind of, as close as we could get to a holy grail stat for player value.
Isn't that funny that when it comes to the NBA now, one of the big stats is plus minus?
Yeah, I mean, it's and so here's the thing. I have been on this before. I think plus minus is plus minus gets in hockey. Plus minus gets beaten on both ends of the argument.
Yes.
The wrong way. Plus minus is the godfather of fancy stats. Plus minus is the first fancy stat. It is the first advanced analytic. And it never got its due because it's the stat that really begot all these other advanced analytics. And people who go too far into analytics, I think sometimes they try to rip on plus minus because they're like, there's better than that. Well, no, that's another data point. And then there's people who don't, and then there's people who try to push against like advanced analytics in general. So somehow plus minus gets beat up on both sides. I think it is I personally think there are much better metrics to use, but I don't think it's a bad stat. And I think it is a stat that can be used with proper context and over the length of a career and everything like that. Like, for example, one of my favorite examples is, let me see if I can find it real quick while we're on the call right here. Like, one of my favorite examples is Bobby Orr's career plus minus. Let's see. I don't want to get this exact number. You're a Boston guy, Gavin. What if you had guessed Bobby Orr's career plus minus? What do you think it was for career?
Oh, wow.
What do you think it would be?
Plus 122.
Plus 582.
Wow. That is epic.
Like that is ridiculous. Like that is like, I don't care what you say about the stat. If you, for your career, were on the ice for 582 more goals at even strength than goals against, you're pretty damn good
game
hockey
changer.
Player. So
yeah, no, Frank Provenzano said the following, Sean, which I think is exactly what you're saying, is that when I asked him about plus minus, he goes, to me, that's a great introductory level to dive into some further analytics. So yes, it's the surface level, and then we can dive from there, but we certainly do keep an eye on it. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Like, who would you, if you had to guess real quick? So Bobby Orr is actually second all time in career plus minus. If you had to guess who number one is for career plus minus, who would you think it is?
Gretzky.
Gretzky's fourth.
Ooh. Okay. Rocket Richard.
Let's see if he's in winners. He is not. I'm going to give you the answer because we don't have a ton of time today. Larry Robinson, plus 722.
Wow, amazing for a defenseman.
Like 722. And he only played. He had a 20 career, not only, but he played. Like, that is a ridiculous 1 year, Gavin. He had a plus 120.
And that's with Craig Ludwig on the team too.
That's incredible.
Yeah, no, I know it is. Wow, and you know what? I mean, I'm so glad you brought that up because a lot of people don't know the name Larry Robinson, but does not necessarily get the accolades as one of the all-time great, defensemen, and he truly was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. Well, Sean, the New Jersey Devils, if they were playing in the Central Division, they might give us some more issues because, they gave the Stars all they could handle this year. And last night, Jack Hughes scored 2 power play goals as the Devils beat the Winnipeg Jets 4-1 in Jersey. So Stars catch a little break. And, I know that the Stars still have to play Winnipeg and the Stars have to still play the Avalanche. And it's who's next, and they have to take care of business against Pittsburgh and Arizona this weekend. But at the same time, always nice when you can see something in the loss column for your competitors.
Yeah, and this Central Division race, Gavin, it's
amazing.
So fun. And then you add in the fact where it's like, I look down and you're like, at one point you're like, no, there's no way. There's not enough time for it to happen. But Nashville is on an absolutely incredible heater. Let me tell you something about Nashville, okay? So Nashville is on a 16-game point streak, right? On February 15th, they got hammered by the Stars 9-2.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Remember the concert plans, right?
Yep.
At that point, February 15th, we are talking 5 weeks ago, the Predators were minus 15 goal differential for the season. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Today, they are plus 24 for the season goal differential.
Wow.
That is a 39. They have flipped their goal differential by 39 in 5 weeks.
Wow.
They are like, and so to give people context of what that is, the Stars are plus 44 for the season. In 5 weeks, the Predators have basically flipped to have been that positive for what the Stars have been the entire season almost.
Right, including a shutout against Florida, which just happened. So that was actually my next question to you. So I'm so glad you brought up Nashville. Could you see Nashville being the St. Louis Blues of a few years back?
I would be horrified of getting them in the first round. I don't know. I think with the way they're playing right now, the question is they've got 12 games remaining. Can you continue this? They're going to be so hot going into the playoffs. Do you cool down, or I don't know. I would be horrified of getting Nashville in the playoffs. And this is why the West is going to be a gauntlet, Gavin, because right now we're at the spot where the quote unquote prize of the prize for winning the Central.
Yeah.
And the hope is hopefully you play Vegas. That's the hope right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, like you're looking at the way these, like, you look at the West, it is going to be it. It's unfair. Like out east, and this is why I look at the playoffs and everything like that, and I look at that like it almost feels unfair that we know the Florida Panthers or Boston Bruins get to play the Maple Leafs in the first round. And that's nothing against Toronto's being a bad team, but like you look at like at the differences between how deep the East is versus the West right now, and this is a gauntlet, and it's just their teams are just beating each other up already going to win this division right now. Like it's fun, but it's hectic as hell and I'm sure frustrating. So
Yeah, it is amazing to think that your prize for winning the Western Conference will be a first round matchup against the hottest team in the NHL, or maybe, Vegas, who defied all salary caps and will get healthy by playoff time and, made some amazing trades. So it is absolutely fascinating. Wanted to hit on something real quick, and I think the same of this with Wyatt Johnston, where, if he's a missing piece, you see a difference in a line. But one of the things I was thinking of the other day is that Tyler Seguin's had a great career, but sometimes the absence of Tyler Seguin has to take place for us to realize, boy, Tyler Seguin's really valuable to this team. And we all talked about Matt Duchene's value as far as reigniting Seguin and Marchment, but Seguin on the ice reignited Duchene and Marchment the other night.
it's funny how these stories write themselves, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it made me think of Tyler Seguin and his value to this franchise, and it's making me think about Ben and Seguin and their contracts, and it also take a step back, and I'm wondering, okay, obviously these players are on the flip side of their career. However, was it the line mates around them? So now that they have the Johnstons, the Stankovens, the Duchenes, and Marchment having a good year, now all of a sudden we're not talking about these contracts, Sean. So I took a step back and I said, wow, we were ready to run these guys out of town based on their contracts. And now it's like, whoa, really glad Tyler Seguin's back.
It's funny how contracts and perspective change. You know who's we haven't heard anyone complain about being run out of town anytime soon?
Ooh,
because he's playing in a proper third pairing role now.
Oh, I mentioned it the other night. Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. We have said, boy, I was about to pound the table. We have said all year on Spits and Suds that Ryan Suter on a third pairing is a very good third pairing. And watching him in Lundqvist the other night, I'm like, there's something there. And since Ryan Suter's gone to that third pairing, he's looked very good.
It is amazing how when you can separate the player from the contract, how much better and easier life feels at times. And there's sometimes you can't do it, right? There are a lot of times you can't do it, but sometimes I think this is the moral of the story, Gavin, is sometimes it's good to enjoy the ride and live blissfully ignorant of how much players are getting paid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And finally, I wanted to throw this out at you. Watching Arizona the other night, Sean, I'm going to be honest. And I said this to you about Detroit. I think there are some pieces there. I know they're dysfunctional, but now that Bettman's come out and saying, they're staying for now, it's interesting. I think Arizona is a couple years away from being a fairly good, wild card to a playoff team.
It depends. I mean, for me, it's still you've got a ton of picks, you got a ton of prospects, you got to see who's going to pan out. To me, I'm very fascinated to see how good Logan Cooley actually is, kind of as his career advances. You've got a couple other, Machelli I think has a pretty good future. Obviously he's 23 already. He's signed for 3 more years. They've got some good pieces. I just fascinated to see what happens once they actually start spending money, because Gavin, we want to make fun of Vegas, right? Like people want to get angry at Vegas for using LTIR to spend more. we really should be more angry at the Coyotes for being the shell corporation they are. Like right now, when you look at the Arizona Coyotes have, I'm doing my quick math in my head right here on this one. They have $25 million in dead cap space.
Wow.
Between paying Shea Weber, Brian Little, Jake Voracek.
What?
They've acquired those contracts. So we get mad at Vegas for manipulating the cap to be better. Meanwhile, the Coyotes are playing with a $52 million cap. Like that is $30 million below what the Stars play.
Wow.
Right? Like this is you talk about like this is my last piece for this podcast before I let us go, because I know we both have to go, but this is important to me. If you are going to yell at Vegas for using LTIR to get better, I need you to start yelling at Arizona for using it to get worse. I need you to, because it is absolutely ridiculous that an NHL team can only be spending $52 million on actual salary when the rest of the league is spending $30 million more. That is my talking point.
That's a brilliant take. And by the way, last year, around the trade deadline, remember this trade, everyone, the Oilers picked up Nick Bukestad and Cam Dineen from Arizona in return for a 2023 third-round pick and Michael Kesselring. I think Michael Kesselring is going to be a real good D-man, looked good the other night for the Yotes. I think they're going to be talking maybe in the next couple of years, Sean Walker-like. That's just me. Mm-hmm. But, I think, he's looking really good. So, interesting. Man, this was a quick podcast, but we were fired up. I love it. Yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely.
It's good. Everyone have a great weekend. It's good. And this is always fun, Gavin. I love doing this show with you, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And don't forget, the women's Final Four takes place today and over the weekend. Finals on Sunday. So root on Colgate, root on Ohio State, so we can see Frisco's Allyson Simpson take on Coppell's Hannah Bilka. Congratulations to the ladies. And thank you once again to Sean Shapiro. Please follow him on his Substack, Shap Shots. You can follow him also at Sean Shapiro, D Magazine, EP Ringside. We love having Sean on. I'm Gavin Spittle from 105.3 The Fan. Have a great day, everyone.